Welcome back to the Blog Boy Roundtable presented by the Bay Area Examiner. We are back for another draft, and with kind of conference realignment in the air, we've decided we're going to do a conference draft. So we have here 6 conference commissioners. Every team in college football, pretty much everyone that plays college football, is open and available to be picked. From the Bay Area Examiner, we have Nathan Bond, Robert Stieg, Anthony Vito, and myself, Seth Fornador. In conjunction with the Bay Area Examiner, and from DraftKings Network, we have Colin Sherwin and Nick Simon. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We have, first, we're going to talk a little bit about Colorado making the move to the Big 12 and kind of what's on deck for the Pac-12. Just a real quick, what are your general thoughts on that? We'll start. Let's start with Nathan here. What are your general thoughts on the Colorado making the big move to the Big 12?
You didn't really do anything in the Pac-12, so have fun back at your home conference where the greatest thing you ever did was the Cordell Stewart Hail Mary. So congrats, I guess.
I mean, they won a national championship. I mean, it was a different time. It was a different era, but
not in the Pac-12, they didn't.
Not in the Pac-12, they certainly didn't. But it looks like they're making a much more of an institutional commitment, especially when they just hired Deion and said, we don't have the money yet. We know we'll get it. And that's the type of thing that you're doing when you're desperate to win. So I think it's probably the smart move, but I think the reason that they finally jumped off the bridge is because the Pac-12 is just being run as incompetently as anything that I've ever seen. You ever go to Popeyes at 1 o'clock in the morning and they screw up your order terribly? There is not a Popeyes in this country that's run worse than the Pac-12 conference between what Larry Scott and George Klavikov have done. It is an absolute disaster. And of course, tomorrow, Arizona has already put a meeting on the books that the Board of Regents in Arizona, their equivalent, is going to have a meeting about taking Arizona State out of there, presumably. And the meeting to tell everybody how much money they're going to make and with the new Pac-12 media deal is scheduled for tomorrow morning on Zoom. So that is how the Pac-12 has just screwed this thing up 7 ways from Sunday. I was texting with Richard Johnson when he was in Vegas for the Pac-12 media days, and it's just as much of a grease fire as you can possibly imagine. It's absolutely insane. So,
if you have those numbers, how can you get reports of Colorado saying we asked for numbers, never got any?
Correct.
And that's why we're leaving. How are you able to get those together in a week?
Because desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, I would assume those numbers have changed though with Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Nick, what was your take when you saw that? I know this is kind of a weird one because I thought it was more odd for Colorado to leave the Big 12, go to the Pac-12 than it is for them to come back. But what are your thoughts? I know you're someone that really enjoys the regionality of college football.
Yeah, Colin just hit the nail on the head. It's more Colorado's move is more of just the ineptitude of Pac-12 leadership. I mean, it's interesting because they're going back to the Big 12, obviously, and that's where they have roots going all the way back to the 40s when they joined the Big 8 conference. They're going back to a dramatically different Big 12 because Nebraska ain't there, Texas ain't there, Texas A&M ain't there, not even Missouri's there. I mean, I guess you still have you could still rekindle old rivalries with Kansas State and Kansas and Oklahoma State. Yeah, Colorado will be fine. They'll fit right into the Big 12. They'll have an opportunity to compete if Deion is able to get things going there for the next couple of years. It just sucks. We make these jokes about George Kliavkoff and Larry Scott, but it just sucks that this conference, that the premier West Coast conference in college football that has in various states existed for basically a century is about to die basically within the next few weeks because of just incompetent leadership for the last decade in securing TV rights deals. It's sad. It really is sad.
Vito, Steve, what were you guys thinking when you saw that? I mean, it certainly does seem like, unless something, that people aren't really reporting happens pretty soon, it seems like the Pac-12 is really going the way of the dodo. What were your guys' thoughts when you saw Colorado and kind of the demise of the Pac-12?
For me at least, it came down to like one thing, and it was, all right, this was kind of obvious that it was going to happen at some point. But what's the next domino piece that's going to fall after? Because as we so affectionately like to say, these conferences like to have knee-jerk reactions to it, and these schools like to have knee-jerk reactions to things. And I know a lot of eyes are going to be in Arizona tomorrow, and after the Pac-12 media deals announced and everything like that. But the rumor mill has been swirling more and more and more around the country, not just towards the Big 12 and how the ramifications of, various college football conferences are going to be after the fact. I mean, at this point, and saying this unabashedly, there's 2 conferences that can compete for a national championship. There's about 18 teams total, maybe, that can compete for a national championship out of those 2 conferences. There's a few on the outside that are trying to get in those 2 conferences. And so that's the bigger story of all this, is that, all right, is Arizona leaving going to cause the big domino to fall, which is what the Big Ten is going to do, because they have options on the table as well. And then what the other conferences like the SEC and the ACC are going to be able to do after the fact. Last round of realignment, the knee-jerk reaction wasn't quite there. The schools left the AAC or the American Athletic Conference and joined the Big 12, and then it kind of, stayed stagnant for a second. But that's the bigger domino piece. And if that happens, that's the acceleration of, all right, like paying the player, like for NIL, and student athletes going to become employees at the university, and basically NFL light is going to be happening in college football. So that's what I'm looking to at this point. I mean, honestly, Arizona State, and all those can join the Big 12. They're fine for 3rd place. The eyes and ears are going to be on what's happening in the Big 10 and the SEC after this.
Yeah, Vito, what was your reaction when you saw the news come down?
Wait, they weren't in the Big 12 already? No, just kidding. Everyone says, as you're getting older, the perfect conference alignment is when you're a sophomore in college. So Colorado being in the Big 12 was perfect. It always made sense. Big in Texas, huge rivalry game at Nebraska. But at this point, like Nick said, you're not coming back to the same Big 12 that you did when you left. I mean, Oklahoma, Texas are gone. Nebraska, Missouri are gone. And all of a sudden, you have a bunch. You're going to be going to Orlando. You're going to be going to Cincinnati. It's a whole different ballgame. I wonder. They must have known something, because why do you make the move now? It's not like the Big 12 is going to tell you need to tell us by X date. Yeah, you could say that, but if they waited until September 1, was the Big 12 going to say, you know what? No, we're good with where we're at? That's kind of the question that I have now. Colorado makes the most sense to go back to the Big 12 with the major history that they have there, regardless of the teams that are there currently. But without knowing that number, or at least thinking what that number is, why do it now? I think this is going to start causing, and it still seems interesting that if the Arizona schools decide to bolt now, and interesting that the Board of Regents is the same for Arizona, Arizona State, and I guess Northern Arizona. It's interesting to see if one would go versus 2 when you have the same Board of Regents, how this works out. But like, why not wait and see what happens with the Pac? And also, the next question that I have is, where's the money coming from ESPN and Fox? I get they're saying, hey, you know what? If you have Power 5 schools, we're going to make sure everyone gets an equal share. But we're talking about Colorado's in, okay, maybe they get a piece of the pie. Then Arizona State, do they have to take a shared piece of the pie? Now Oregon and Washington, as ESPN and Fox, who were, at this point, we're starting to see the media start cutting funding, all of a sudden say, we're going to go ahead and everyone gets $30 million. Go up to 20 teams, everyone's getting $30 million. That's the big question I have. They're going to say there's only so many TV slots you could put if you have a 20-team conference, let's say. That's kind of where I'm at, and I'm assuming that you go ahead and start getting either cold feet with what the Pac-12 is doing, because you're in the final year of your contract and it's just been taking as long as it has, and who knows what the heck's actually happening. But the big thing that I'm seeing with this, it's really sad for the West Coast. I love West Coast football, and this just feels like the networks are essentially saying, we care more about Cincinnati and Colorado, and we don't care about Stanford, Cal. We don't care about the West Coast whatsoever. Figure it out. You know what? Screw it. You guys are over. And that to me is really sad, considering what's happening with conference realignment in this juncture. And it's like, okay, now everyone's the Mountain West. So you're just going to have one West Coast conference and that's it. And everyone's just going to go, we're going to watch every UCLA and USC game. We're going to watch every Colorado and Arizona game. That's it. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
I think it seems like now there are some big brands in the Pac-12, but a lot of the value is having another TV, the late TV window to put a game in, right? So if you're another conference and you can get that, I would imagine that would help kind of drive up your value and give you the ability to, Colin, is that what you think, to get that extra money, extra full share, just being able to have that other window?
So, yeah, I mean, where these games end up on television or streaming or whatever, that's TBA. This is the rights have value in themselves. Is it Colorado, Arizona State game a loser for a media partner? Probably not in the long run. I mean, there's some ads that you can make that probably don't help you very much. But the big thing is here, I look at this for two things. One, we all made fun of Brett Yormark for all the leaks because he's been leaking like a sieve for weeks and months and years about this. But you know what? He won the war. And so, put up or shut up. He put up. He got Colorado to make the jump. He then put out a press release to dunk on the Pac-12 pretty brutally, actually. And this conference is now just going to get sliced and diced. And now the bigger issue is that what is happening in college football, especially at the FBS level, is sort of what happened in European soccer, in that all of the individual universities are looking out for themselves. So they tried to create the Super League in Europe, and basically the fans revolted and governments revolted and said, no, you're not doing this. And that idea got put to the wayside. But if you had asked Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Arsenal, would they be better off just playing in a Super League of, 15 other teams and just playing those games and leaving everybody else to die in the dust? That's probably when every institution has to act in their own self-interest and not the interest of the sport as a whole. This is what's going to happen until we get some kind of regulation or commissioner or whatever. Martin Jarmond at UCLA is going to continue to go, yeah, let's join the Big Ten because I can increase my budget $40 or $50 million, even if I'm putting water polo teams on planes, to Chicago however many times a year. Until there is some sort of regulation or some sort of where everybody doesn't just get to act in their own self-interest and for the interest of the sport and for college athletics, high-end college athletics as a whole, this is just going to continue to happen. And if you're the Pac-12, your options here are merge with the Mountain West or to go to some kind of split division thing. That's it. Other than that, what are you going to do? Add Simon Fraser and UBC? There's nothing left, it's a tough spot. So until people aren't acting in their own self-interest and for the interest because they're forced to, this is going to continue to happen. And wait till the ACC deal expires in 2036. Oh my God, we're going through all of this again. They're just going to spin the wheel one more time.
And every year the number goes down to get out of that. So
yep.
It may pop up even sooner. This is and this kind of last thing, and then we'll get to the draft here. Does this lend itself to this sport just breaking off from the other sports? Because like you said, we're going to put a women's lacrosse team, going to make USC's women's lacrosse team go play, for example, in Penn State or play Rutgers. That doesn't seem super feasible, right? So are we going to reach a point where this totally breaks off? And then if it breaks off, are we going to get back to the rules where it will be a little bit more regional again, but it'll only be like 60 teams or 70 teams?
Yeah, none of it, like going over FBS as a whole, like none of this is sustainable. Like I think you're gonna there are articles about how USC and UCLA is gonna try to make this work with like their volleyball teams and like all the other Olympic sport teams, and they'll try it. And certainly a school like USC and UCLA, they have the money. I guess they have the money and they'll get the money to be able to fund this for a few years, but it's just going to be a nightmare and a headache. And at least at the Olympic sport level, it's just not going to be able to hold up within a decade. And you're going to have to come up with something more regional. I think just in general, I mean, that just in my opinion, I said this today on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it now. I think like it's going to get to a point where like this entire operation just balkanizes, where we eventually, maybe it's like over a decade, maybe it's 2 decades down the road, where it's like everything kind of just starts to splinter again. Because when you have these large conferences of like 14 teams, 16 teams, 20 teams, usually it's been done, it's not sustainable because you have all these different universities that are not only just spread across the country, but have different visions, ideas, and goals for where they are. And it's just not going to gel. So, but especially at the Olympic level, this isn't sustainable.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this could be a whole nother or a whole different pod. It's an interesting topic. It's the future and how you could kind of navigate it in different ways. But we have a draft to do, so we're going to get that. So basically, here are the rules. Anybody that plays college football, you can draft. You're trying to draft. It's kind of whatever you want. We're probably not taking into account travel. I wouldn't think that'd be. No, maybe you do. To me, I'm just trying to put together the best conference in terms of brands, markets, things like that. But you can kind of do it however you want. So the only thing I think we have to keep in consideration is a school's academic standards. So you can't say, for instance, I'm drafting Harvard, but we're going to really lower the admissions and let anybody get in. And you have to, if you can say other things to pitch Harvard, but you can't lower like academic standards. So that may hurt some teams, and this was kind of where you get maybe some teams that are Power 5 maybe dropping out. But the order is as follows. We've got first pick. We had a couple trades, but after everything shook out, the first pick, Nathan Bond. The second pick, Robert Stieg. Third pick, Colin Sherwin. Fourth pick, Anthony Vito. Fifth pick, Nick Simon. Sixth pick, Seth Varnador. It will be a snake. So once I get 6, I'll get 7, and we'll just kind of go through it. 12 rounds, 12 teams. So we're going to have a true power 6. Mike Oresco just felt a chill go down his spine, and he doesn't know why. So we're going to have a true power 6 here. No clock. We'll, as you make your pick, give a little reasoning. And then we may, after each round, we may discuss the round. It'll be pretty brisk, though, between picks. So without further ado, Nathan Bond, you're up first.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Okay.
Wow.
To get some he was one of the trades. He traded up.
that mug came out of
Go
nowhere.
Bows. Go
If
Bows.
travel does not matter, it's an interesting pick. All right, Steve, we're gonna hit some. This is gonna be some wild variations in strategy. I can already feel it. All right, Steve.
I was toying between how I was going to draft, because I have a way I can draft to, build a really good conference, and then I have the way that I want to draft it. So I'm going to go with the way I want to draft it. Iowa State.
You talk about 2 vacation destinations. Hawaii and Ames.
Ames, Iowa water. Apparently, the tap water is the best in the nation. So
Really?
there's a whole song and everything.
Well, there you go.
Vito, I would kill to be in that Slack channel you have for your podcast production, because those are probably where you're getting fabulous facts like that. I'm going to go the USC Trojans.
Okay.
Knock that one off my list.
All right, USC. I think we've got Nick or Vito up next. Vito, where are you going?
Wow, Colin stole that right from me. I was gonna go LA, so I'm gonna go for my my next Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Mm.
We're talking I guess I don't need to say it, but we're talking what? 7 Heisman Trophy winners, 11 recognized national championships, a truly national and international brand,
Most
One
draft
fake
picks, I
girlfriend.
think.
the coolest head coach of all time.
Lou Holtz. All right.
Yeah, he's the one I was thinking of. That's for sure. Brian Kelly.
All
Go
right,
Irish.
Nick, you're up. The board is still quite stacked, I would say.
For my first pick, I am gonna go with the University of Texas, Austin. Hook 'em, baby.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Hook 'em.
They do this. Ours is
They still the
What?
same.
All
I
right.
want
Well,
that I'm horny shirt.
you got to repurpose that for USF purposes. That shouldn't be too difficult. All right. I've got back-to-back picks. First pick, I'm going to take Georgia. I think the program's in a really good place, and also they make a lot of money, and they have probably a sneaky good high school football state, producing a ton of talent.
Just love.
And I think that's going to go even further. First pick. So now we're into the. All right. So let's talk about the first round here. I had 6 I thought were first round grades, and on my book, I think 2 got picked. Borderline 3. We got some interesting strategies here. There's
It'll play out.
There's not really much else to say at this point.
Interesting. I love it.
Maybe we should do the
Except the
wraparound and then
positivity.
sum it up. I think the wraparound will help us like fill in what our strategy is here, maybe a little bit.
All
more
right, so
than we do
I'm
the wrap.
all right. I'm coming back around. I'm gonna take Ohio State. Not really regional. I thought I'd be able to stay a little bit more regional, but that's a really big brand. It's hard to pass up. So I'm gonna go Georgia, Ohio State. Nick, it's back to you.
all right. So I am going to lay claim to the Red River Shootout. I am going to take Oklahoma. That's my second pick.
I like it. Getting a built-in rivalry. Vito, back to you.
I'm gonna move. Can you say the picks again? I'm just gotta double check this.
We've got first round Hawaii, Iowa State, USC, Notre Dame, Texas, Georgia. So far in the second round, Ohio State and Oklahoma.
Well, you know what? I was gonna try to avoid it, but I mean Alabama's sitting right there. So roll Tide. Roll Tide, go Irish. Two peer institutions, the capstone of the South. Let's go. I was gonna go a different direction, but I can't. Alabama can't last this long without being picked.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, that was, I mean, obviously that was my pick. My first was Texas. Actually, Vito, I think you picked me twice because Texas was my neck pick, or Nick
took
Nick
mine.
took Texas.
We can trade at the end.
Yeah, oh, it's true. You know, we can make that happen. So I hate all of my other choices being this high up the board. I think we got most of the power out of the way, and I was hoping that the third pick that I'd be able to get 2 what I consider tier 1s. But I didn't. So I'm gonna take Florida Gators, which hurts my soul, by the way.
I thought I might come back in the next round, but it did not. Steeg, you're up.
The UW Huskies here. Washington. Not Wazoo. Washington.
Not Washington and Lee.
Not George Washington.
All right, Nathan. Let's see if Nathan has another piece of memorabilia. I think I know what his draft strategy is. So we'll see.
I'm gonna take Oregon.
All right.
Okay.
Who says the Pac-12 doesn't have any brands?
Let's go Ducks
And
indeed.
then,
All right, and anything to talk about through 2 rounds, or we just want to keep rolling here?
Yeah, let's keep
I think
going.
let's keep it
All
rolling.
right, so Nathan, back to you.
Boise State.
This has a NCAA football 14 flavor to it, so
Mhm.
or a
Mhm.
Colt Brennan era NCAA football flavor. All right, Steeg, back to you. Iowa State, Washington.
Just to clarify the rules here, you said Anyone who
Anybody that's
plays-
playing college football.
And we're not withheld to 133 FBS teams.
Anybody that's playing college football.
Rhode Island.
Okay.
I'm
Little
3 for
high.
3. We're a little high. A little
I
reach,
think
but-
you could have got
little
Rhode
high.
Island in the 12th round, but
So with my strategy, I have 16 teams available to my picking. 2 of them are off the board from you all, and I'm 3 for 3 on my top 3. So I'm going strong right now. My big board is going strong.
okay. All right. Colin, you're back up. And
The Florida State University.
All right.
Colin's good about stealing my choices. USC and Florida State in the same conference would be banger.
Yeah.
Probably gonna happen.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of rooting for
Yeah,
it.
dreams come true, Vito. Speaking of Vito, you are up next.
All right. Well, that was going to be my choice to get into Florida. You have Georgia to get into. Well, you took Georgia. I got two routes to go here, but I think I got to keep this simple and go blue, Michigan. The big house.
This is a blue blood team right here, Vito.
It's nothing but bangers.
That's
I
a blue blood conference right there.
I had to pivot, not getting any West Coast, so I decided to just go back to this. Fill in the blanks.
Go back to the old roots here. All right, let's see. Nick, you're back up.
My third pick going to you, University of Miami.
Oh,
Yep. Good pick.
That's a good one. All right. I'm gonna go first pick here. I'm gonna go LSU. And then I'm gonna go let's go Clemson. Our good friend Jeff Scott's back up there. You put in a good word for me. All right, back to Nick.
good for him.
My next pick, War Eagle, baby, going Auburn.
Oh, let me see if I got a theme. Oh no, okay.
From a conceptual standpoint, I love the idea of Alabama and Auburn being in different conferences, competing in that state.
That's what
That sounds fun.
at the end I think we may do one more round and let people try to pair up conferences for out of conference games. So that might be fun at the very end there. All right, Vito, you're back up. You've got like the 3 of the biggest blue blood programs of all time.
You know what? Okay, so Florida's picked dry. You got Georgia. You got Clemson. Do I want to go? No, I'm going to keep this simple. We're going to go. What did they say? Anyway, Tennessee Volunteers. GBO, go big. What is it?
Go big
Yeah,
orange. I was
go
hoping that one
big
would
orange.
stay on the
That's
board a
it.
little bit.
Go
for
big
me.
orange. GBO. Get your citrus going.
That's a good one, Vito.
And I somehow flipped from Big Ten, SEC, Big Ten, SEC in my first 4, assuming Notre Dame joins the Big Ten.
Vito's a big 2 snob, or the power 2.
This
Hi,
is my
Colin.
first time on the BBR. Yes, that's me. I am the big
Power
big
2
snob.
Power 2 snob. All right, Colin.
Hashtag basketball matters. UCLA.
Oh,
I was worried Colin was going to pick the school that I was about to pick.
Oh,
Oh no.
Rice.
Close. University of Texas at San Antonio. 4 for 4 on my big board right now. I'm beaming.
meep.
When you're hot, you're hot. All right, we're back to Nathan Bonds.
Been waffling with this pick, right? It's I mean, Seth, you kind of nailed it. This is absolutely what teams that I have most fun with playing NCAA football. These are my top 3 choices. And then I'm going to go basically back to NCAA 14 because that's the most current version of the game that we have. And I know it's not as effective in today's game, but give me Navy because every single year in NCAA 14, they are a top 5 team, and it makes no damn sense. So give me Navy, go Middies, beat Army.
Well, speaking of, you've got the wraparound here.
Yeah, so
Are you
I'm
going to
gonna
get yourself a made-for-TV game here?
No, I'm not, because the offense is what sells tickets. I don't care about a 7-4 slugfest in the Commander-in-Chief Bowl or whatever they call it. I don't care about it. I just want fun, exciting offenses. So I am going to go with the school that made, or at least for me, the school that made the pistol formation a lot of fun with Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to go Nevada.
All right. Steve, back to you.
Honestly, with Nate's method, I wasn't worried about any of y'all picking most of my schools. Like I figured some of them would be off the board, but like now I was worried about Nathan's method here. Going 5 for 5 with my big board. Stanford. The nerds.
All right, back to Colin.
I'm trying to quickly figure out, okay, what can the acronyms spell?
That's what I'm trying.
That's what
I will
I was
tell
trying
you
to do
guys this
myself.
now. If you guys get my method, I will Venmo you $10,000. Straight up, you'll have no idea how I get this.
So,
oh man,
Stieg definitely put a bit of a crimp, but you know what?
Rhode Island.
Yeah, definitely the Rhode Island threw me off. All right, I'm doing it. Give me my favorite destination in the country. I'll take San Diego State.
I almost penciled that one in for you before the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
put it on
almost
my
worried.
list. I was like, I don't think this one's getting.
Yeah, I'm going to take them too early. You know, I'm going in, and new stadium. They got money now. They're a buy for sure.
All right, Vito.
Well, I guess I got to go back to go back to the well here a little bit. Give me Penn State. Nittany Lions.
Vito silently just dominating. Nick, where are you going?
For my next pick, give me the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. UNC.
Honestly, I was super leaning towards that.
Yeah,
I love me some UNC Powder Blues, and basketball matters.
That was going to be in my next grouping there.
Yeah, same here.
All right.
Never my next pick.
All right, so I got back to back. Penn State is gone. UNC is gone. I'm going to take it's gone. All right, so I'm going to take Texas A&M. They got a lot of money. They're going to spend it. And then coming back the other way, I'm going to take Nebraska.
Honestly, that was a big name left on that board.
Traditional power. They're going to spend some money, I think.
Corn.
They got the corn. I mean, they got the corn.
They've got the corn.
All right, Nick, back to you.
So we're what, halfway through? This is round 6?
It's round 6.
Okay, awesome. So far, so good. Give me the University of Houston.
Ooh,
Good pick.
Cougs.
Good pick. I like it.
I'm worried I'm gonna have to start scrambling here in a second.
I gotta say, I doubt it. We got Vito up next.
Vito's next.
Back to you, Vito.
Oh boy. I want to get Wiley, but not yet. We are not at the get Wiley stage. So I don't really want to go that route yet. Hold on, I got to think about this for a second. I know we said no timers yet. But let's talk about this. Everything on my board's been chosen. Wow. I really don't want to go that route. Geez. You know what? Get me into the Beltway. UVA. Go Cavs. That's still the Beltway, right? Virginia?
Oh
I always
yeah,
forget.
close enough.
I just think it's so
Couple
cool
hours.
saying that.
Couple hours away.
Colin.
I'm gonna go Arizona State. I'm going market here.
I think it's a good one.
I've never been to Arizona at all, but
It's very hot.
tempeh.
Steve, back
Different
at
type of
you.
hot.
Hold on. Let me refer to my list. Good. It's still available, I think. Let me double check so I don't sound like an idiot. Perfect. It is. BYU.
Okay.
Go Cougs. 2 Cougars off the board already.
Nathan?
So it's my turn, huh? I am going to take another really fun team back in the day, Oklahoma State. Fun offense.
Des Bryant dudes?
Yeah. And then I'm
Pistol
going to pair them. I'm going to pair them with a team that the Gulf Coast offense copied itself after. I'm going to go Baylor.
Oh,
The Bears.
Little Big 12 flavor here.
I like it.
Oh, and you get to use Pistol Pete in all of his iterations.
And
All right.
I mean, as an aside, my uniform combinations are just top notch. So we may be a terrible conference, but we're going to be swagged the F out.
Steve?
We're still sitting okay. I'm on a crunch right now. You guys took 4 of the ones that I wanted, so I have to really tighten up my butthole a little bit. I have a backup plan in case. Next pick, Harvard.
Harvard.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Harvard.
All right. Colin?
My pre-draft board came true. We think we got a first round pick here. We're very excited about the future. We can't believe this guy fell to us, and we're so excited. His combine was off the charts. I will take the best stadium in all of FBS football, your UNLV Rebels.
Yes. Indeed.
I get the Death Star. I get the market. I get gambling. I get a great destination for all my other teams for development purposes. I like it.
Took one from me.
Yeah, I did. Oh, nice. There we go. Got him.
All I got to add is UNLV being on the short list for a Power 5 program is hilarious. And I'm all for it. Why not?
All they need is money.
All right. Vito, back to you.
All right. It's starting to get harder in the late rounds. Where do you go? Do you start going to the middle? Or do you say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a country with some pizzazz and some flair, some good places to go, and I'm going to go that route. I'm going to say, let's go ahead and move slightly closer to the south. Tulane Green Wave.
Ooh, you stinker. I was going to wait at least one more round. I was thinking 9 I could slide
I
in
think
there.
that could be one off Steve's board right there. Steve, am I correct?
Get me the team in
No.
Uptown.
Oh.
Bring them back to a power conference.
Yeah. SEC champions 3 times,
Shouldn't have left.
All right, Nick. Back to you.
L's up, going Louisville.
Good pick.
They're
I thought you said
spending,
Owls up, and I went, which one?
Louisville's spending money now.
40 that's currently in the AAC.
Louisville. You gotta like swallow it, not Louisville.
Louisville.
I thought it was Louisville for the longest time.
They'll burn you at a stake for that.
Yeah, that's what happened.
All right, I'm gonna go. Let's go Utah here.
Ooh, the Utes.
Utah's state produces a surprising amount of NFL draft picks. And we'll go. Let's go Wisconsin. Nick, back to you.
We are on pick number 8, round 8. Okay. My next pick is Arkansas.
The Jerry Jones money, baby. And that Walmart money. Vito, who's following up Tulane?
All right, so I'm gonna head a little bit further east this time, and I'm going to grab. Oh, do I want to do that? I don't know if I want to do that. There's a lot to
Existential
consider.
crisis.
My goodness, I was thinking about it and went like, well, I don't know if there's a whole peer institution thing I'm kind of trying to follow here, and I don't know if that's going to work itself out. All right. Oh my goodness. Man, this is tough. This is tough. I really don't want to do it, but I think I'm going to have to go Sparty. Give me Michigan State. I didn't think anyone was going to pick Wisconsin. You kind of threw me for a loop there.
They've got some tradition. Colin, back to you.
Hashtag basketball matters, Kentucky.
They've committed some money to football too recently, so
for sure, and they win more than you think, especially under students. So yeah, shown that they'll sell out the stadium when they're good.
Don't tell that to Calipari.
True.
He said basketball matters. Calipari's all right. We'll be all right with it. All right.
I'm taking a gamble here. Boston College.
Oh, okay.
Had to drop off Georgia and Tennessee from my big board and had to skip ahead. So Boston College was naturally next after Georgia and Tennessee.
All right. I think we're to Nathan.
Another fun one in the early 2010s. Fresno State.
Ooh, yeah.
Give me that Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. Just try to rekindle that with whoever the head coach is there now.
Is it back to Tedford?
No, isn't it?
Cade Won't? No, that's right. Fun fact: David Carr was the first. So when I first started paying attention to football, David Carr was the #1 pick to Houston, and I remember I watched his highlights all the time, and I thought he was the best quarterback ever.
I remember reading he could squat 500 pounds. I was like, this guy's an animal.
Yeah, it was like, this is wild. And then Joey Harrington was that same draft, I think. Yeah. I remember, I thought those guys were awesome.
It's back to Tedford.
Yeah, it went back.
All right. Nate, round 9. Kick it off.
This is where my pride gets in the way, right? Where there's one team, I think we all know it. We all know this one team in NCAA was so much fun, and the father of this offense died last year. I'm gonna have to take the middle school in Lubbock, Texas Tech. It was. I mean, you're telling me that offense wasn't fun to play with in NCAA 14, 12. NCAA 08, like it was a really fun offense.
And they're
So-
spending money right now too, in NIL and other things.
So
There's a commitment
And they
going
have-
forward.
they have a halfway decent baseball program, but the site that covers them that was on our former site sucks ass. So
There you go.
Quinn
Steve,
Flowers not a glorified running back. Sorry.
I think I actually got a steal. I was not expecting to get like an actual good program to this list, but Kansas somehow falls on my lap and on my big board.
well, I think there's some debate.
Well, for basketball,
Yeah,
That's right. Kansas. All right. Colin, back to you.
So Nick sort of screwed up my process here ever so slightly, but that's why future draft picks and trades are available, and we can always move some cap space around. So I will take the University of Cincinnati.
Ooh, you really like that that chili, don't you?
I loathe that chili. It's just absolutely disgusting. But by the way, there's no good. Even the DC bench chili bowl chili, that's not good either. But yeah, I will take Criminati.
Criminati.
Cincinnati.
Shout out Bob Huggins, R.I.P.
He's still trying to sober up, I think.
Oh, so
Vito, you're up next.
Okay, I think I'm gonna finally decide to do this. We're gonna get into Georgia. Give me Georgia Tech. Give me the old SEC schools back.
Putting the old band back.
Ramblin'
together.
wreck, if you will.
Some may say. All right, Nick.
All right, kind of have a old Southwest Conference flavor going as of late. I'm going to keep that going with SMU.
Ooh,
They got money,
everyone's getting a Trans
I
Am.
think.
All right. I'm going to go TCU.
SMU and TCU right next to each other as God intended.
That's right. And then this is tough. Let's see what else. Who else do I have? Let's go. I'm gonna go Virginia Tech. We get to see Sandman and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, back to Nick.
I still have a couple I've written down. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss, the Rebels.
interesting.
Oh, none of the Mississippi
Yes.
schools have been picked yet, huh?
Ole Miss was on my board. They spend more money than you think.
The gap between the two Mississippi schools
Yeah, it's large.
very wide. You got the good
Somehow-
one for sure.
Somehow it never seems to be super wide on the field, but those egg balls are always fun.
Rivalry games, man.
Vito, you are up next. Georgia Tech last pick.
Yeah, this is good. This is getting down. You got to start figuring out. Do you want to get weird, or do you want to kind of stick to the status quo? I think I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit. Man, I say that, and then I second guess myself.
I'm gonna call the supervisor, put you on the clock. Like in poker, if you wait forever in
Yeah.
a hand at the World Series, you get supervisor comes over, put you on the 1 minute clock.
This is tough, man. God, I really don't want to do that.
Are we voting Vito out of the fantasy league before the draft?
If his picks go back up for grabs.
Now I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, right. Now I'm just trying to remember who's in what and what did we do? Good Lord, I don't even remember. I'm sorry, guys. This is hard. You know what? Let's go basketball matters. Get me into this. Get me to Tobacco State, Duke.
Ah.
Don't hate it.
All right, Colin, you're back up.
Speaking of basketball matters, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. By the time I get to Arizona,
There's. All right, we're back to Stieg. Stieg, how's your process? Is it still flawless?
We're still good. If everything goes according to plan, I wouldn't have needed my backup plan. So we're sitting pretty still. Rutgers.
Rutgers.
I'm getting a little hairy though. It's this last pick is going to be coming down to the wire.
All right. Nathan Bond.
Oh, let's see. Wazoo.
Nice.
All righty. On the wraparound.
And this is where it gets a little dicey. Now I gotta figure out, okay, what do I really want to do with these last few picks, right? So I have clearly my plan was, hey, fun offenses that you can play with NCAA in the football game there. But also I only have one team east of like Tennessee or east of Texas, I guess. I want to try to keep that as intact as possible because it'd be super hilarious to see Navy have to travel cross country to Hawaii and then also vice versa. Having these teams have to face the triple after a very long plane flight. I can go in so many truly different directions. I think for most USF fans, this team doesn't really have there's no history between this team and USF, but the city has a very distinct history with this team. And I'm going to pick UTEP.
UTEP. All right. That's a history I'm sure we'll get into one day. Stieg.
I have my 11th, and I'm gonna roll the dice on this one to keep it true to the order that I have it in front of me. Arkansas State.
I'm gonna say don't vary from the board.
I'm not gonna. So the 12. This last pick is gonna be Harry, and if I have to dig, I'm gonna be upset about it. But we're good.
All right, Colin, you've got a nice mix of.
Oh, I have the pick. Everyone for 16 years now has accused me of hating my alma mater. That I have been out here just shitting on them left and right. That I'm the problem. That I'm too negative. All that bullshit. Go Bulls. I take the University of South Florida alma mater. Hail to thee.
That would have been an unbelievable setup to take UCF.
I was thinking the same thing. You think I hate my own alma mater? I do.
Boom! This makes sense. Colin gets his dream. San Diego, Vegas, Tampa, all in the same. And his next pick, I can guess what it's going to be.
Oh, well, no, it's already off. Unfortunately, my pick is off the board. Somebody took the lane already.
Vito.
Oh, okay. I was thinking another one.
All right, Vito. Back to you.
It's me.
Yeah.
We have 2 more picks, 2 more rounds, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm going to go with New York's football team, Army West Point.
There you go.
I was only like 80% sure they weren't off the board, but yes. Let's have Nick Saban and Alabama have to head to New York in November and face the triple or modified triple. You know how it's going to go.
Mhm.
It's always pain. Oh, Army in Michigan. Now that's a conference game. Boom. Enjoy it.
Vito, your conference would also be like killer in like the 30s and 40s too.
Oh yeah, this is
That's
going
what's
to be fun.
interesting.
This
That's
is
what's
great through the
interesting.
years.
Yeah. Nick, where are you headed next?
My penultimate pick, I'm gonna hang out with Penny Hardaway, going Memphis.
Walking to Memphis.
All right, I've got Clemson, so I think I'm gonna go South Carolina here to get that little rivalry. And then you know what? They're not as high on my board, but let's bring back the Black Friday game. I'm gonna go Colorado. We got Nebraska and Colorado on Black Friday. We can go ahead and pencil
There we
that
go.
in.
So I always
Oh.
remember, I know we talked about Colorado earlier, but watching that game on Black Friday after putting up Christmas lights and having turkey sandwiches with my parents, that was always the game. I always remember watching that. It was
The
always
one
such a
that
blast.
the one that sticks in my head is when was it Chris Brown and Bobby Purifoy? They ran for like 400 yards and beat Nebraska like 62-35 or something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
That was that one stuck in my head because that was like the beginning of the end for Nebraska football. All right, Nick, back to you. Your last pick.
Final pick, kind of going off the board. Well, no, this was on my board, but yeah, it fell perfectly. Other two service academies have been accounted for, so I'm going to go with Air Force.
I was really hoping that those would fall like to the very end and you could like group a couple of them together, but Nathan go with Navy early threw a wrench in that. All right, Vito, where are you going?
All right.
For your last
I'm going to
pick
go.
here?
I'm going to finish. I decided to do a route here, and I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. Minnesota Golden Gophers.
So my board lined up exactly how I wanted. I wanted 12 teams, 6 rivalries in major markets. That's what I was going for. So unfortunately, USF doesn't really have a rival because as an American Association of University School, they are superior to all other schools in the state of Florida, and Florida is already off the board because I have them already. So I'm going to have to go with the next best public, or not public, but metropolitan institution in the American Association of Universities that's closest. Georgia Tech's going too, so I got to go Rice. So Rice is now USF's rival, and I think for where they are in their football development right now, sounds about right.
Hootie hoo. Hey, Rice
Hootie
put
hoo.
Houston on a scare last year. Just saying.
Yeah,
And now
and
they
you know
got
what?
JT
Here's the
Daniels,
thing.
baby.
If Rice ever puts it together, they got more money than God. Their campus is gorgeous. Like if they ever gave a shit, like the potential is unfreaking limited. It's just, do they want it? I don't think they do, but
Which this is the exercise. I imagine you get them in this conference, they get that TV money. Now all of a sudden they can give a shit.
you got US, right? You got
For
USC, Florida State in there for sure. Yeah.
All right, we're just Stieg.
My
Are you
final
gonna go
pick,
12 for
it's
12?
there. It's I wasn't 12 for 12. It wasn't a perfect draft, but it's perfect for what I wanted. I got NC State.
Perfect. That was one of mine considered for USF as well.
All right, and the last pick, Nathan. You started us off with Hawaii. How are you ending?
Nathan, you got to go Colorado School of Mines. You got to do it. Like, I mean, if you're doing all the fun offenses, put the most fun offense ever in.
Swing
Gator
gate.
Blaster.
I will oblige to a fun offense. It will not be Colorado School of Mines, but it will be a very fun offense out on the West Coast, whose head coach from 2008 to 2016 is now the offensive coordinator at Arizona State, Bo Baldwin. I am taking the Eastern Washington University Eagles.
Got the red the red field and everything.
The deep cut.
All right, so we'll read off the teams here. We'll start with Nathan. Let's see if I make this larger. It's a bit easier to read. All right, so we've got Hawaii, Oregon, Boise State, Navy, Nevada, Oklahoma State, Baylor, Fresno State, Texas Tech, Wazoo, UTEP, and Eastern Washington. All right, Stieg, you've got Iowa State, Washington, Rhode Island, UTSA, Stanford, BYU, Harvard, Boston College, Kansas, Rutgers, Arkansas State, and North Carolina State. Colin, you've got USC, Florida, Florida State, UCLA, San Diego State, Arizona State, UNLV, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Arizona, USF, and Rice. Vito, Notre Dame, Alabama, Michigan, Tennessee, Penn State, Virginia, Tulane, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, Duke, Army, and Minnesota. Nick, you've got Texas, Oklahoma, Miami, Auburn, UNC, Houston, Louisville, Arkansas, SMU, Ole Miss, Memphis, and Air Force. And I got Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Utah, Wisconsin, TCU, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and Colorado. All right.
South Carolina coming at the end there.
They produce a lot of talent, and they're starting to spend money. So they were kind of I was kind of between them. North Carolina State was another one I was looking at. Any honorable mentions? I have a couple that I thought would get picked for sure, but did not.
I had Pitt and Temple as my backups.
I thought Kansas State and Iowa were two more besides those two that get picked.
Iowa was one that I was surprised at. I was reluctant every time as my board started to kind of finalize. Iowa just didn't really quite fit in what I was trying to do until the end there, but decided to go Minnesota instead. But yeah, Iowa was big. Kansas State not being there, huge. Another one that surprised me that took a long time to go at the board is Nebraska. Like they're a blue blood through and through. I was really wondering if someone was going to go North Dakota State, give them a shot. But
I put them on my other list. I was tempted to go WVU Pitt in the last two just to have that rivalry, but neither of them got picked. Illinois and Maryland are both decent talent producers that neither of those got picked. So
I was thinking Illinois for that one Juice Williams season, but it was just one season and they kind of fell off. So he kind of shot himself in the foot there with that. They were definitely on my radar. Arkansas State was also on my radar. Steve, you picked them, right?
Yep.
Because Ryan Applin, he was so fun to play with in NCAA 14, and also he's the nephew of my high school's all-time winningest basketball coach. And fun story, went down to Sarasota where he lives now to interview him. Spent like 2 hours talking to him. The next day I go to work at CVS. I am texting my now wife, hey, I made it to work. And I dropped my phone into the urinal and lost the interview.
Oh, no.
So, that was brutal. So Doug Applin, also USF legend, put a 30-piece on Central Florida when there was no three-pointer. One of the first white guys to dunk at USF, and the head coach at the time stopped practice and said, stop that, white guys don't dunk.
All right, real quick, Steve, I know you got to run. Which of these other conferences do you think you would pair up best with? If we're doing like what's your conference name?
Mine is Stieg's Ultimate Realigned Vanguard in Various Organized Rudimentary Sports.
All right.
If anyone is using some, I know you guys were looking for the first letters of the school.
Oh, so are these? Is this alma maters of people that have won Survivor?
These are alma maters of people who have won Survivor in the order of which my favorite winners were selected.
Oh my gosh!
I was thinking it was going to be something Survivor related, like.
Let me tell you. So
Steve,
Survivor.
Stanford and Harvard were on there twice. So
Of course they were. Of course they were.
I had to really dig on one of them at least because so two guys attended one attended BYU and one attended North Carolina State. They were there for 3 years. Couldn't confirm if they graduated or not, but one of them is a professional pickleball player now, so I counted it. And then the other one played football at NC State, actually. Brian Heideck. He won Survivor Season 5 in Thailand. So that was my method to my madness. So you guys took Georgia from me, Tennessee, Penn State, and USC. The rest stayed on the board, and I was set.
Well, there you go.
I love that he's a professional pickleball player now. Those are things I didn't expect. Hey, Colin, Nick, when can we bet on professional pickleball?
You can. Started there.
Oh, sweet. Yes. Now we're talking.
Steve, what conference before you jump out? I think. Well, what conference do you think you'd pair up best with here?
I think honestly, I'd pair up well with Nate's. Just
Nate,
as far as the
Nate,
travel.
do you take that pairing?
Yeah, I mean, why not? It'd be fun.
What's your conference called, Nate?
It's the I'm putting up 70 against the computer, and probably giving up 60, because all gas no brakes conference of NCAA 14.
The overs.
The over conference.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's the bet the over.
I think it pairs up
TVs.
nicely down the board here. Like I think my group pairs up well with Nick's. I've got A&M in Nebraska for Texas and Oklahoma, Georgia for Auburn. Those would be big ones, I think. And then I do think Colin and Vito pair. We got USC Notre Dame.
Oh, no. I want no part of Vito's crap. Look, there is so much cold weather shit on here. Look at this. My whole goal was
you just go to the home games as the commissioner. You don't got to go to the game.
No. This is crap. Like I want no part. First of all, I want no part of Minnesota, Michigan, okay, Notre Dame after October. That none of this Army. But the bigger thing for me is that my goal is to avoid the I-95 corridor at all costs because no one should live there. It's a sanctimonious hellhole. And everybody is moving south and west for a reason because you can work anywhere now and it's sunshine and palm trees and shit. So going Cincinnati, Kentucky, hurt my soul. They're for sale, by the way. If you guys want to put together, and I would love to swap out Cincinnati for Louisville because Louisville's actually a really fun city. Low key, great restaurant town, really good. And I'd love to get UK and UC together. So we're willing to stash some picks there, Nick. Some players to be named later if you want to trade my 9th pick for your 7th.
He's got North Dakota State as a prospect.
Yeah. So I'm whatever you need down the line, like future picks or whatever. I'm good, some extra TV money, whatever. But yeah, my goal was I mean the country's moving south and west. College sports will continue to matter more in places that are warm than they will anywhere else. And I wanted markets, but I also wanted places where people, like Florida and Florida State, you're getting 5 media markets. You know what I mean? You're getting 2 schools that aren't, necessarily located in great ones, but you're getting covered in 5 media markets on the regular. And that was kind of my goal.
Collins is a fun, you want to go coast to coast. That is a fun conference. Seth, I actually thought that you and I paired up fairly neat. Georgia Tech.
That's true.
Are retained. Ohio State, Michigan are retained.
Yeah.
Nebraska, Minnesota.
LSU,
Wisconsin.
Alabama.
Yeah, LSU, Alabama, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Those are fun. I will say, so with my route, and I'm going to call myself the Metro Conference. It's not 100% there. I just freaking love that name. I actually wish the AC would change to the Metro Conference. But so when I was going through this, I realized, and I wish I could switch out Virginia, actually, because Virginia actually is the outlier in this entire one, outside of kind of being in the Southern Conference for a bit. I have 58 national titles between all of my 12 teams. The only ones that don't have a national title are Virginia and Tulane, because Duke, I had no idea, has 2 unclaimed national titles in the 30s.
Well, there you go.
Didn't they finish 20th? Didn't they finish 20th in the poll and claim the title? Isn't that Duke that did that?
That sounds right. I don't know.
I
I just read. I just
believe
saw that they
that's
have two
case.
unclaimed, no claims.
With that in
from what
Alabama
I
and
understand.
the conference, you've got a lot of dubious claims on titles there. And
Oh,
in
and
the
Minnesota has 6 apparently. That's actually the only reason I went Minnesota. They are the furthest west team I have. They're kind of on, out there. But when I saw that they have 6 claimed national titles, you know what? They're slapped. They're in this conference now. Let's go.
So
Playing in the snow.
Minnesota's the last team to three-peat. That's what George
Uh-huh.
that's what George is aiming for this year. Because it's always fun, going to looking back to see Minnesota was randomly this national power up until the 60s. That's fun.
Nick, what's the name of your conference? And what was your strategy? Were you able to kind of stick to what you wanted to do?
Yes, I did. It kind of, with a few exceptions, like USC was stolen off the board. I'm naming mine the Outlaw Conference. It's the Outlaw Conference. Look who I chose. I'm not interested in media markets. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm interested in teams who will do anything, whatever it takes, whatever cheating that it takes to get the job done and win. Heavy hitters, Texas, Oklahoma was Barry, you go back and look at the numerous recruiting violations Barry Switzer committed when he was the head coach. North Carolina, academic fraud. Of course, come on, man. Miami, I don't need to say anything more.
Pell Grants, all kinds of stuff.
Auburn, cheating with Pat Dye. And plus, when they won the Cam Newton bid. Houston, Bill Yeoman was giving out, giving out envelopes of cash to his players in the locker rooms in the 80s and got caught. Louisville, SMU, self-explanatory. Memphis. Air Force is currently on probation because they got caught hosting recruits during the dead period in COVID. And you know what?
And they also were the first of the academies to change the weight limit requirements so they could compete in football. They literally got the military to change their requirements for entry so that they could get more guys on the offensive line.
That's commitment right there.
That's commitment. I want programs that will stab each other in parking lots over recruits. That's what I forgot even Ole Miss. I basically wanted to basically just recreate the Southwest, just recreate the old Southwest.
And then add in a bunch of other cheaters.
Yeah. So that was my reasoning.
Is the logo like a gold Trans Am? Is that the conference?
Absolutely,
Trans Am for the conference championship. But
put it on the trophy. The trophy is a gold Trans Am.
Gold Trans
sport.
Yeah. I was just trying to take kind of the teams I thought were that are super committed to football, invest in it, and I think some of that's borne out in the stadiums and the game day atmospheres at some of these places. Even a place like Utah doesn't have a ton of people, but really good atmosphere. Wisconsin, same with South Carolina. They got the 2001: A Space Odyssey. Colorado, not the best atmosphere, but probably one of the best looking stadiums. When you see it, it's one of my favorite stadiums. I really want to see a game there one day just because of the aesthetics of it. But yeah, that's kind of was my intent. And I don't know what name, maybe the Big Sky Miles Conference, because we're going to be flying all over the place.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like Vito's Metro idea. I thought that would fit mine pretty well as well. I tried to lock down some markets. But yeah, Seth, the only problem I have with your conference, Seth, and I agree, it was great choices on a football basis, but there aren't a lot of places I want to spend a weekend. Georgia, okay, Athens is fun. Athens is fun on a Friday night.
That's what the TV's for.
Yeah, I'm all right, they're cool. LSU, Death Valley, fun for a tailgate. Baton Rouge is not fun for 3 days.
You go to New Orleans and then drive over.
Yeah, that's literally the last time I went to an LSU game. That's what I did. Colorado. I mean, Denver's not that far. That's kind of fun. But They're not anything else. There's nowhere else I want to hang out. I
I'm,
definitely I
I'm
leaned into places I want to hang out, even though I did take Florida and Florida State.
I really wanted Florida school. I was hoping I'd get USF right after you took him, right before I was going to take him. I thought about taking him the round before, just because I wanted to get into Florida. I wasn't able to. That's kind of my I feel one of my bigger weaknesses, not being in that state at all. So there was a team I could have took. I thought that might not be the
You talk
most
Central
popular.
Central Florida.
FIU, baby. Me and McIntyre. All right, well, this was fun. I thought it's really interesting to see who didn't quite make it. And Stieg had his survivor, but still, like, there's some pretty big names out there that didn't really come to the forefront for us, didn't really drive it. And I wonder, it's kind of interesting when we look at the television deals and things like that, who's really driving these decisions. So going back through, SEC had everybody but Mississippi State, Missouri, and Vanderbilt taken. ACC had 10 teams taken. The Big 12 had everybody, Kansas State, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, UCF taken. Big 10 had of the Power 5, the Big 10 had the most remaining. So that was kind of interesting. Pac-12 only had Oregon State and Cal left. So Pac-12 heavy here for the draft.
It always makes you wonder if they could, if they had the chance, if they would reset and with the TV market sat down and did a draft like this and said, what do we want? If they would go ahead and say, our 80, 100-year relationship with, a Vanderbilt or, a program, a Missouri, a program that is in the conference and is taking up a spot, would they take that draft and say, let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll make the mega conferences we want. That's going to bring the most eyeballs.
And I think that's the unfortunate possible reality. As somebody that's watched the SEC their whole life, I'd be fine like trading Missouri for somebody else, but losing Vanderbilt is kind of weird. It would be kind of odd. But yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility down the road. Sankey, one of his big influences is I can't remember the exact name of it. There was a really good book done about the formation of the Premier League. I think it might be called just the League or something like that. And they said he's read that and is really kind of taken those lessons of how the Premier League was formed to heart. So it may get to that point where he gets there, but hopefully they can keep some traditional semblance of these conferences. But guys, this was fun. This is probably gonna be the longest one we ever do. But I thought it'd be a fun exercise just to break it out and kind of see what we value and what teams are kind of most valuable. So thanks. We'll be back. So during the season, we'll be doing this once a week, probably closer to 30 minutes with a rotating crew. Might be everyone you see here. Might be less. We might add some national people or some other people on. But this will basically be the crew. So follow us along, like, subscribe, join us, leave a comment if you think our picks were terrible. Help us game the YouTube algorithm here. Thank you.